Christopher Columbus, sponsored by IBM, will continue after this.
The Jacquard loom. It may look a little primitive, but in its day, it was a marvel. Here's a harvesting machine. It turned the Great Plains into the breadbasket of our nation. This may not look like an antique, but in a sense it is. It's from one of the first IBM computers. It could solve problems in a few minutes that would have taken a team of mathematicians months to do, but it used vacuum tubes. Remember your old radio? And while these tubes may not seem so big to us, to an engineer or scientist, they posed gigantic problems. They weren't reliable enough, they used too much energy, and they were too big. You see, all these vacuum tubes, which were essentially on-off switching devices, were connected to the other components by miles and miles of wire. Even though electricity travels at the speed of light, the time it takes to go through the system depends on the distance it has to travel. Engineers and scientists wanted to make computers faster. They wanted to make millions of calculations possible in the blink of an eye. So they needed switches that were 1,000 times faster. Today, all those tubes and other electronic components have been compressed onto a tiny chip made from the pure silicon crystal. This chip that can fit through the eye of a needle can do the work of 1,000 vacuum tubes. Now those millions of calculations can be done in the blink of an eye, and they can be done a lot cheaper. In fact, the number of calculations that would have cost more than $1 a couple of decades ago now cost less than a penny. And that means computers are now available to do a lot more jobs, to solve a lot more problems for a lot more people.
You're looking at a tiny dot of neon argon gas. IBM has been working with a technology using thousands of these dots of light. The result, an ultra-thin computer display screen. But this thin screen is just the beginning. IBM research scientists are exploring new ways to use this technology.
Hi.
Amazing.
As you can see, we can talk face-to-face wherever our offices may be.
So I see.
And before, we could only display this much information. Now we can display this much more and do it from 4 different computers.
4 computers?
You can even make your own notations.
Where?
Right on the screen.
Oh.
And because the screen is so thin, you can put it anywhere, even on the wall.
Looks like it can do just about everything for an office. Except make a cup of coffee.
How's this?
The latest innovation in display screen technology, developed by IBM.
Christopher Columbus, sponsored by IBM, will continue after this.
CBS Sportsbreak, sponsored by IBM.
Good evening. Conference final action continued in the NBA playoffs tonight with Los Angeles and Denver tied at 116 late in the 4th period. This wild scramble took place before James Worthy came up with a basket that gave the Lakers a 3-1 series lead. Meantime, in Philadelphia, the 76ers beat Boston. Rookie Charles Barkley scored 15 points to key the win. Boston leads that series 3-1. In golf, Corey Pavin won the Colonial National Invitation. And I'll have more after this.
Christopher Columbus will return in a moment. Stay tuned as the adventure continues. Brought to you by IBM.
In boxing, Wilfredo Gomez won a controversial split decision from Rocky Lockridge to win the WBA junior lightweight title. And 80,000 runners jammed the streets of San Francisco for the Bay to Breakers road race. Some strange sights, but a new course record for Olympic marathon gold medalist Joan Benoit. For CBS Sportsbreak, I'm Pat O'Brien.
Tuesday. These should have been their golden years.
Barbara, I love you so much.
But now, they were determined to triumph.
I don't know what's happening.
Well, we're going to find out.
In this, the most heroic battle of their lives.
It forced me to treat you like a child.
You are most probably suffering from Alzheimer's disease.
Joanne Woodward and Richard Kiley star
I'm going to beat whatever this is I've got.
in the inspiring world premiere of Do You Remember Love? Tuesday at 9, 8 Central and Mountain.
And now we return to Christopher Columbus, starring Gabriel Byrne and Oliver Reed.
For the third time,
Christopher Columbus, sponsored by IBM, will continue after this.
In this rapidly changing world, even the brightest and best manager in the company may need more than a loyal staff to run a smooth operation. For when headquarters calls and pressure builds, it becomes harder to keep things rolling without running into mix-ups, losing control of the operation, and falling behind. For rapid improvement, a manager could use a tool for modern times, the IBM personal computer, for smoother scheduling, better planning, and greater productivity. It can help a manager excel and become a big wheel in the company. The IBM personal computer. See it at a store near you.
Imagine if something could signal you when you make a spelling mistake. That would mean you'd be able to correct it before anyone else ever saw it. Well, IBM's Selectric System 2000 typewriters with Spellcheck can do that. It's an electronic dictionary that signals you when you misspell a word. So now if you make a spelling mistake, the whole world doesn't have to know.
If you'd like to make your play for a personal computer, don't get bogged down with worries about software and expandability. Come to the IBM PC Classic. Explore the best-selling IBM PCs and the latest in IBM software and options. With prices under par, you'll have a clear shot at higher productivity. You can get things rolling at the IBM PC Classic. So, drop in. It's now in full swing at a store near you, or call your IBM representative.
And now we return to Christopher Columbus, starring Gabriel Byrne. Christopher Columbus, sponsored by IBM, will continue after this.
My first thought whenever they told me the IBM plant was going to a fully automated plant was, oh no, here goes my job.
Stan Porter is one of 6,000 people working for IBM in Lexington, Kentucky. The plant there will soon be one of the most fully automated in the world. But the move to automation hasn't meant a single layoff in Lexington. One of the reasons is IBM's commitment to retraining, teaching people new skills to work with new technology.
Everybody has kind of got a new outlook on it now. It makes everybody now, they feel that it's going to make the jobs better.
I don't think you move people out of the workforce, okay? They have to learn something different. Like I said, everybody has to learn something different, including me.
Without retraining, our skills become obsolete. But with IBM's philosophy behind training its people to meet its needs, instead of laying off people, you just develop them.
We cannot remain competitive unless we do retrain our employees to do new type activities. Computers, for instance, electronics, for instance, robotics, for instance. They have to be prepared to accept these challenges.
We've taken the mundane, highly repetitive task of assembling these miniature electronic components away from the operator and moved the operator one step back into the process, so he's now responsible for a system. So not only have we been able to improve our quality through automation, we've also enhanced that person's job.
I guess the biggest change is being able to realize that there's a lot more that I can do besides just set out on the line after getting a little bit of additional education to be able to run robots, computers, do other jobs that were not available to me 5 years ago.
What makes me feel good about retraining is that it's twofold to me. The first one is job security. I don't have to worry about having a job as long as I continue to do my job well. And the second thing is it has always brought opportunity. Every time that you're retrained, there's an opportunity and a challenge.
Retraining has helped IBM avoid layoffs for nearly 50 years. What's happened in Lexington and throughout IBM proves that a company can move ahead without leaving people behind.
We're your type for memos and manuscripts, love letters for labels and laundry lists. If words are the way you write, we're your type. Typewriters, IBM. For hot texts, for doctor's orders, for company checks, police headquarters, for offices big and businesses small. We're your type.
Christopher Columbus, sponsored by IBM, will continue after this.
This is CBS.
Hello, I'm Jane Van Ryan. 8 more Maryland Savings and Loans received tentative approval for federal insurance. They include Laurel Savings and Loan Association and the United Savings Association of Rockville. A mediator begins talks with United Airlines on its striking pilots in Chicago tomorrow. He will meet with the two sides separately. And prayer services are held in Philadelphia for the 11 dead and nearly 300 homeless people after the standoff between police and MOVE. Those stories and more tonight at 11.
In Washington, the nation's capital, the word around town is German. Beck's, the #1 imported German beer in Washington.
Gotta spend some time together, gonna make our rendezvous. Come on along with me, Big Mac. There's no one quite like you. Big Mac. It's a good time for the great taste of McDonald.
Get a Big Mac, large fries, and 22 ounces of the new taste of Coke for $2.72. Big Mac and Company at participating McDonald's.
Lead me away, show me your smile, light up my face.
No one can show you the face of Europe like TWA, leading the way year after year. To London, just $334.50. To Paris, $376.50. To Rome, $424.50. Irresistible.
Leading the way, TWA. We teamed up for life.
And now we return to Christopher Columbus, starring Gabriel Byrne and Oliver Reed. Stay tuned for scenes from tomorrow night's special presentation of Christopher Columbus.
In 50-51, IBM sent a team out to find out how big the market would be. They came back with a figure of 17 computers would saturate the market. Oh, since then, 17 million.
The discovery of faster ways to store and to retrieve information was an important development in the dramatic growth of the computer industry. Ray Johnson, one of the pioneer inventors of magnetic disk storage, led an IBM team in search of the new technology in San Jose, California, more than 30 years ago. Ray Johnson, now retired, holds some 90 patents. But when he first came to this part of California, it was a long way from being called Silicon Valley.
All the countryside was of this open nature, and from these hills at Stanford University emanated the development of what is now known as Silicon Valley.
Since coming here, Ray Johnson has seen the valley become home to thousands of companies devoted to computer development.
There were 4 companies in the business of selling computers 30 years ago, and now that number is 15,000.
Ray Johnson's work centered on information storage. His inventions helped spawn a separate industry that's now more than 125 companies, generating $12 billion a year and employing over 100,000 people.
Well, I certainly take a lot of pride in having been part of the initial team that developed this, and having been proud of many of the people I hired went on to lead the other teams.
Ray Johnson is a legend here in San Jose, and for us young engineers coming into the business in the last 10 years, we look towards the previous leaders like Ray, who have given us the guidance and that basically have set the targets in terms of having high quality, high technology, high performance product to deliver to the marketplace.
My observation is that The business is still in the infancy, and the opportunity for young people today is much greater than it was when I came into the business.
Tomorrow night, the adventure continues. Christopher Columbus faces disaster at sea.
Sorry, sir, I'm so sorry. You're sorry. The Santa Maria is sinking, and you're sorry.
He discovers an unknown people and sets off a struggle for power, souls, and above all, gold.
You know something? I believe we found all the gold that is here. But keep looking.
King Ferdinand wants the riches of the Indies, not the souls of savages.
He shall have both.
No more promises, admirals. Our need is now.
Seeking wealth for his sovereign, Columbus pursues his dream.
9 days' march from here, and we shall have realized everything we have sought all these years.
He unleashes forces beyond his control. But greed and the battle for the New World turns his dream into a nightmare of envy and betrayal.
Colombo is a foreigner and a commoner. And it is no wonder he harbors resentments against true Spaniards of noble blood.
You have deceived all of Spain. These are not the Indies.
Admiral Colombo, I have orders to place you under arrest.
The Irons!
Tomorrow night, in Part 2, relive the dream, the pageantry and splendor of the age of exploration, royalty, and Christopher Columbus, the legend and the man.
Christopher Columbus is brought to you by the people of IBM. We invite you to tune in again tomorrow night for the epic conclusion at 8 Eastern Time. Thank you for joining us this evening.
Angela Lansbury, Crazy Like a Fox, starring Jack Warden and John Rubinstein, and Trapper John M.D., starring Pernell Roberts and Gregory Harrison, will all return next Sunday at their regular times right here.
Are private psychiatric hospitals locking away growing numbers of adolescents who don't need treatment? A special investigative report tomorrow on the CBS Evening News with Dan Rather.
When strange things start happening at Bushwood, who you gonna call? Gopher Busters.
That's me, Mr. Squirrel. What do you say we bust up this joint?
Ted Knight, Chevy Chase, Rodney Dangerfield.
Well, the last time I saw a mouth like that, I had a hook in it.
And Bill Murray turned this country club into a caddy shack Friday.
This is CBS.
Ahead on Eyewitness News, 8 more Maryland SNLs receive tentative approval for federal insurance. A federal mediator joins in the fray between United Airlines and its striking pilots, and fires burn out of control across Florida, forcing residents to flee their homes. Eyewitness News is next.
When you're looking for the best in life, you know you got it right here.
There's still a place where the grain is rich, the water's pure, beer is beer, and the brand is Miller.
Miller's made the American way, born and brewed in the USA, just as proud as the people who are drinking it today.
Miller beer, purity you can see, quality you can taste.
Miller's made the American way.
When you got your body going, we've got the shoes.
Foot Locker, get it right for your body.
All the shoes that fit your body, come through the stripes.
Foot Locker, get it right for your body. Get fit by the pros, the expert who knows the shoes that are best
for people who are serious.
Get it right for your body. Come to the stripes. Foot Locker, come to the stripes.
We've arrived, they say.
We'll probably do Europe again this year. And you?
Do we still know how to play?
Well, we're going back to visit some very dear old friends.
And we can be together, you and me, wild and free. We'll take a chance, find romance. We've just gotta be together at Disney.
Together at Disney.